Subscribe to our channel and also press the bell icon to never miss an update from Kautilya's Fincast.
Welcome to Kautilya's Fincast for November 16th to November 30th, 2020.
Let's begin with corporate news.
Reliance Retail Ventures Limited, a subsidiary of Reliance Industries Limited, has acquired equity shares of Urban Ladder Home Decor Solutions Private Limited for a cash consideration of 182.12 crore. The National Company Law Tribunal has approved a Rs 103 crore bid to acquire debt-ridden Nil Infrastructures, which is developing a housing project in Agra, Uttar Pradesh. Dewan Housing Finance Corporation Limited's lenders are likely to call for fresh bids for the bankrupt home financier as early as Tuesday after the Adani Group unexpectedly offered a higher price for the company's assets. Vodafone Idea added 4.6 million mobile broadband subscribers in August 2020, the highest among all telecoms. However, the company's debt situation remains grim. Wipro shareholders have approved a share buyback plan of 9,500 crore, which is 23.75 crore equity shares at 400 rupees per share. The plan was approved by the board last month. Airtel has reportedly started deploying 4G technology in 900 MHz band across 10 telecom circles. The move is to enhance indoor coverage of high-speed mobile telephony. Multiplex chain operator PVR NSE-0.88% Cinemas has tied up with business accelerator firm India Accelerator to mentor startups working in the media and entertainment space. Vedanta NSE 2.94% Resources said it submitted an expression of interest for the government's stake in Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. As Korean Airlines stated in announcing the acquisition of Asiana, given the crisis the airline industry is currently facing, it is unavoidable to restructure the entire market without consolidation. This is the first major initiative of attracting private investment for running passenger trains over the Indian Railway network. 13 players have been shortlisted by the Indian Railways for operating private trains in 12 clusters. The company's external corporate loan book includes loans to over 70 companies that have become non-performing assets, NPAs. Annual report of IFIN for 2018-19 had a net loss of 13,272 crore. Companies that have reported earnings thus far comprise 62% of Est. PAT for the MOFSL universe, 70% of Est. PAT for the Nifty, 63% of India's market capitalization. The plan is such that corporate or industrial houses can take significant stakes, something the Reserve Bank of India had strongly objected to in the past, as 2.45 lakh non-government and non-financial companies have long-term debt of $341 billion. Real estate, land and building assets valued at $141 billion in financial year 2018-19 can reduce outstanding long-term debt. The debt-ridden 94-year-old old bank's fate was sealed with Union Cabinet. The RBI had announced 27 November as the effective date of merger for LVB with DBS Bank India Limited. Vedanta Limited's operating profit rose to its highest in 10 quarters. Intercompany loans, impairment on oil and gas assets and uncertainty around dividend policy continues to be a cause of worry. CityFlow, an app-based bus service that provides a comfortable and stress-free commute experience for corporate professionals in Mumbai, has raised INR 57 crore in series of funding led by Lightbox Ventures. The Japanese government also plans to consider tax incentives for small and mid-sized companies to promote mergers and acquisitions to help boost their competitiveness. In the 5-year return, 4 pension funds out of 6 with 5-year track record outperformed the benchmark, 9.84%. Moreover, all of them beat the corporate bond mutual funds category average, 7.81%. Fitch Ratings has affirmed Tata Motors Limited's (TML) long-term issuer default rating (IDR) at B. The outlook is negative. Concurrently, Fitch has chosen to withdraw TML's IDR for commercial after writing off entire equity capital of Lakshmi Vilas Bank. Following its amalgamation with DBS Bank India, RBI has asked LVB to write off Tier-2 bonds worth 318 crore from its books. Dell will deliver a simplified service and cloud experience to customers and partners through its cloud console. an integrated online platform for managing cloud workloads and services through a single web interface. France is resuming collection of a special tax on big tech companies like Amazon and Facebook, despite the threat of US retaliatory tariffs on French champagne, cheese, handbags and other goods. Lenders to DHFL extended deadline for bidders to submit revised resolution plans, betting that a potential bidding war among suitors will help banks extract more value from assets of bankrupt home financier. Airbus SE is confident in its plan to increase production of A320 family of jets to a rate of 47 a month next year, even as slump in air travel puts pressure on customers. Big Basket lost 80% of workforce within 2 days nationwide lockdown in March, but bounced back and hired more than 12,000 people in 16 days to turn around fortunes of company. Overseas investors are showing interest following surge in number of Indians using internet as people adopt a digital way of life amid pandemic-induced disruptions. Fewer new overseas investors funded Indian startups this year. Indiabulls Housing Finance had, last month, sold its additional stake in Oak North Bank for 441 crore. With the latest stake sale, the company has raised a total of 2,670 crore. Sandeep Kataria becomes first Indian to be appointed as global CEO of Bertar. Kataria was previously the CEO of Bertar India. Amazon said it will offer a special recognition bonus of up to 6,300 rupees to its employees in India, in line with similar payouts being made to staff in other countries.
Let's begin with market news.
As equities staged a massive recovery post-COVID lows by hitting new record highs ahead of Diwali, Morgan Stanley has upgraded its target for Sensex to 50,000 by December 2021. SBI's recoveries and upgrades fell 21% year-on-year in H1 FY21. Recoveries from past written-off accounts dropped 40%. Bitcoin reached $17,000 for the first time since just after the burst of the cryptocurrency bubble almost 3 years ago. While disciplinary proceedings are underway, funds and securities of Rs 2,300 crore belonging to about 2.35 lakh investors have been settled so far, with efforts focused on the settlement of small investors. As optimism about a coronavirus vaccine drives a shift away from technology shares, one such stock in India keeps rallying as market watchers bet its investments in startups will start to pay off. Shares of Lakshmi Vilas Bank dived 20% to 12 rupees and 40 paise a piece to hit the lower circuit, after the RBI placed the bank under moratorium for a month and capped withdrawals by account holders at 25,000 rupees. The construction arm of Larsen & Toubro has secured mega contract from the National High Speed Rail Corporation Limited to construct 87.569 kilometers of the Mumbai-Ahmedabad High Speed Rail project, popularly referred as the Bullet Train project. Overseas investors have pumped in $6.3 billion in Indian equity markets in 3 months ended Sept on attractive valuations, opening up of the economy and resumption in business activities. Bitcoin extended its rally, approaching $19,000 for the first time in almost 3 years, while enthusiasts predict it will quickly surpass its all-time high. Gland Pharma Limited, the first Indian company with a Chinese promoter to go public, made a robust debut on the stock markets, with its shares closing over 21% above issue price. Massive FPI buying led to the biggest gap-up rally in the past 2 weeks, which wasn't visible during the entire lockdown. This shows that optimism has reached its peak. The most noted point after September quarter earnings season was that more than 100 stocks witnessed upgrade in rating to buy from brokerages. FPIs have pumped in net sum of 49,553 crore in Indian markets this month so far on back of high liquidity coupled with improving global indicators and clarity after US presidential elections. America has been top of refining pack since start of the oil age in mid-19th century. but China will dethrone US as early as next year, according to International Energy Agency. Reserve Bank of India has recommended guarded entry of corporates into banking space, while allowing conversion of big NBFCs into banks and a hike in promoters' stake to 26% from 15%. Security and Exchange Board of India proposed reclassification condition on shareholding be amended such that promoter and related persons seeking reclassification should not together hold 15% or more of the total voting rights in listed entity. Shares of Bharti Infratel rose by 24% in the last 3 trading sessions after the merger of Bharti Infratel and Indus Towers to create a mega tower company was completed successfully. There are concerns on Indus Ind's growth, even as provisions beef up has allayed asset quality fears. The infusion of promoter capital in Indus Ind Bank may help reclaim premium valuations. Shares of HDFC Bank touched a fresh record high of 1,464 rupees apiece in the early deals on the BSE, led by which its market capitalization jumped to 8.02 trillion rupees. The Reserve Bank of India has refused to give its nod to the transaction, citing that mutual fund business is not in consonance with the primary business of NBFCs. Following the Union Cabinet's approval for the amalgamation of Lakshmi Vilas Bank with DBS Bank in India, NSE said the bank's share trading will be suspended from November 26. The London Metal Exchange will freeze its trading and clearing fees for next year because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but will increase some of its other fees. The Bombay Stock Exchange on Friday has expelled an agro stock and broking from the exchange after declaring it a defaulter. Quick service restaurant chain Burger King India Limited on Friday set a price band of Rs 59.60 per share for its 810 crore IPO opening on the 2nd of December. The FDI inflows during the July to September quarter were $28.1 billion, and the FDI equity inflows during the first half of 2020-21 have shown 15% growth in US dollar terms. In about 3 weeks, gold prices have tumbled about 4,000 rupees per 10 gram, while silver 6,000 rupees per kilogram, as optimism about COVID vaccine has sparked a rally in risk assets. High liquidity and robust interest from investors helped companies raise nearly 25,000 crore through initial share sales this year so far. The combined market valuation of 5 of top 10 most valued firms declined by 91,699 crore last week, with heavyweight Reliance Industries emerging as the worst hit. The most traded digital coin rose over the weekend and added another 5.6% today, reaching as high as $19,220, near its record $19,666. Gold prices slipped in global markets and remained on track for its worst month in 4 years, as optimism over a coronavirus vaccine-led economic rebound took some off the safe haven assets like gold.
Let's begin with economy news.
The strategy is being used by the government to keep prices around minimum support price level is tweaking import and export policies to maintain enough stocks of the commodities in the country that doesn't harm farm end prices. China and 14 other countries have agreed to set up the world's largest trading bloc, encompassing nearly a third of all economic activity. Many in Asia are hoping will help hasten a recovery from shocks. After launching a nationwide drive against fake invoice scams plaguing the GST regime, the government is planning structural and legal changes to control unscrupulous business from bleeding the exchequer. India, the world's third biggest oil importer and consumer, depends on foreign purchases for over 80% of its oil needs. The nation's oil and gas output has been stagnant for years. Niti Aayog has proposed setting up of an oversight body to set up standards, guidelines and benchmarks for use of AI across sectors, which will be mandatory for public sector procurement. According to experts, the rebound is driven by institutional interest in the US, with many companies investing part of their treasuries in such assets. Indian economy is likely to contract 7.5% in the current fiscal. Addressing a virtual event organized by FDIC, the central government has come up with some noteworthy reforms including GST, IBC and MPC. Large, well-run private sector banks tend to have gross non-performing assets sub 5%. Investors should be cautious as the classification of bad loans can sometimes fail to give a true picture. the two sides have proposed agreement between the regulatory authorities Commission de Surveillance du Secteur Financier, CSSF, and the SEBI would deepen bilateral cooperation in the financial sector. While cash withdrawals have rose around 10%, UPI payments have shot up by close to 20% during the period to an average ticket size of 1,850 rupees. Leaders of the 20 biggest world economies, G20, will debate this weekend how to deal with the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic that has caused a global recession and how to manage the recovery once the coronavirus is under control. India expects the fisheries sector to attract investments worth $9 billion over the next 5 years along with huge employment generation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stone for drinking water supply projects in Mirzapur and Sonbhadra districts of Uttar Pradesh via video conferencing. The company got listed on stock exchanges in April 2018 and the government had raised 438 crore by selling 26% stake through IPO. Business activity in India rose to another post-lockdown high over the past week after plateauing the week earlier, but the revival of the pandemic threat posed a key risk post-festive season. According to brokerage firm Nomura, the government will soon come out with a national master plan for providing multimodal connectivity across the country to reduce logistics cost and improve competitiveness of local manufacturing, and is seeking cabinet approval for the same. The RBI has turned down the proposal of Muthoot Finance to acquire IDBI Bank's mutual fund business, saying sponsoring a mutual fund is not in consonance with the activity of an operating NBFC. More than 40 lakh new subscribers have been enrolled under the Atal Pension Yojana (APY) government's pension scheme. So far, this fiscal year, Amazon has partnered with the US government's counterfeit watchdog to launch a joint operation to prevent fake goods from entering the country. Days after a month-long moratorium was imposed on the Tamil Nadu-based Lakshmi Vilas Bank, the Union Cabinet on 25th of November 2020 approved the scheme of amalgamation of Lakshmi Vilas Bank with DBS Bank India Limited. The decision to go on strike was taken during an online or virtual National Convention of Workers on October 2, 2020. As per a declaration adopted by 10 central unions and their associates, hardening of reinsurance premiums in pharma and healthcare sectors could see premium rates increase by 15 to 20%. However, drug prices are unlikely to be affected by this, because of raw material prices. Experts feel the GDP print for financial year 21 could see a contraction of 6 to 7.5%, much lower than current expectations of 10 to 11%, with the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases rising once again. The government's representative, Chief Economic Advisor Krishnamurthy Swaramanian, advised cautious optimism. Romanticizing working without any leaves? Vacation is becoming common at Indian workplaces amidst COVID-19-led remote working. But this is just not worth it. Nomura has revised the GDP forecast for India to -8.2%, from previously predicted -10.8%. For financial year 2021, for equities segment, this is the highest quantum of money invested ever since the FPI data has been made available by the National Securities Depository Limited. Farmers, benefiting from a bumper crop, are lapping up tractors while demand for personal vehicles, due to a lack of public transport and the need for safer travel options, has boosted sales of cars and motorcycles. S&P, in its report on Asia Pacific, projected the Indian economy to grow at 10% in the next fiscal. Among the companies, Texas Instruments and Microsoft made the highest offers, 12 each. Qualcomm made 10 offers, while Goldman Sachs and American Express made 9 offers each.